Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking an early look at the month of February. We're going to be taking a look at the modeled guidance for the upcoming pattern within the month of February, which I cannot believe is already here. We're also going to be taking a look at the teleconnections heading into the month of February and see what direction those will be headed. Anyways, before I get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. Let's get straight into things, and first things first, we're taking a look at our previous temperatures, and this is going to be actually for the first week of December. We're just going to walk through how this winter has gone so far, and we started out December in a total torch. It was basically like a ridge for the entire United States in the first week of December, and as we move this on, let's see. Go to days 14. So this will be the second week of December, and it's the same thing. Huge dome just over the United States. A little bit of some cooler air here for California, but the winter was not looking promising yet. And even as we head towards this portion, which is going to be week 3 of December, we actually headed into a trough in the west, ridge in the east pattern here. We can see the ridge centered over there, and the trough centered over here, which is the exact opposite of what we've seen in the month of January. A little bit of a spoiler alert there. Let's head forward with this. All the way to the end of December. And this was the look at the end of December heading into early January. Huge trough here in the western United States and a huge ridge here over the eastern United States. And you might remember this. I mean, everybody was jumping, basically just saying, look, this winter is not going to happen. We're not going to see any cold. We're not going to see any snow. And that's definitely changed around. We've definitely seen the cold. Some folks have seen snow. It hasn't been the snowiest winter so far, but the cold, for the most part, in the month of January has been centered over the eastern United States. So let's move on towards January 7th. And this is when things really started to change around. We saw mostly a trough centered over this region. We saw a bit of a ridge here, a trough here, and then kind of a ridge here overall, but most of that cold air was centered right here. So it's generally heading eastward by that point. And then by week 2, we generally saw a ridge there in the west and a trough here in the east. This is when we finally reached the opposite pattern here. This is when we began to get kind of snow opportunities along the eastern seaboard here, and those frequent nor'easters heading in just like this as that southern jet met up with this. This was the pattern we found ourselves in. And even as we head towards right now, you can see ridge in the west, big old trough in the east. This has been the pattern for a majority now of January, and we expect this actually to last through the end of January also. So this is not going to be something that just comes to an end innocently. We actually do expect this to prevail through the rest of January. But right around February 1st, we expect a big pattern change. So let's take a look here at our CFS model. In a little bit, we'll take a look at our European Weeklies model. But here is the upcoming week according to this CFS model, and a bit of a ridge out west and a bit of a trough in the east here for a majority of the time here, but things are already looking a little bit different than they have so far this month. Let's just take a look at the first week of February here, and a lot of that cold is centered over the west and a little bit warmer in the east than it has been. So let's continue this on again. Now, this specific model does have the ridge returning out west and the trough returning in the east, but I'm not seeing much signal that points towards this being the most likely outcome. This model really just sticks with the trough over the east in the long range. All the way through March, it kind of keeps that really as the overwhelming just pattern, I guess, because it really just keeps us in that basically from weeks 2 and beyond. But the European Weeklies model definitely has a much different perspective on how things are going to end up going. So that is definitely worth noting moving forward. It's also worth noting that our AO is going to go into a much more positive phase. So let's take a look at that real quickly here. Now here's our AO, and it's important to note that in its positive phase, we see mostly less Arctic air heading into the United States. It gets bottled up in the Arctic region, so it's mostly warmer in this phase, and it's mostly colder in this negative phase. And we see it's in its positive phase. Actually, we do have some Arctic air, but it really goes negative here towards the end of January into February. So a lot of that cold air that's going to be heading into the eastern United States and then transferring out west during the first week of February could be much colder than the air we're dealing with right now, since this AO will be negative here around this time frame. So this Sunday through about I would say, the weekend after. So for about 7 days here, about the last couple of days of January and then the first 5 days or so of February, we're going to be in this negative AO pattern. This kind of returns to positive afterwards, as you can see, kind of to close out the middle portion of the month. So that's the overview. That's kind of the look here moving forward, and we do expect to be mostly in a positive AO throughout the month of February. Now here we are taking a look at our European weeklies model, and this is a very, very long-range version of our typical European model that you might be pretty familiar with. I use it very frequently on the channel. But let's just move ahead towards the first week of February, so let's find this. Okay, so this should be the first week of February, and already, let's backtrack. Okay, let's backtrack. Sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. So this is the pattern here for the final week of January. Very clear trough there in the east, and kind of a ridge in the west. It's not as clear. We do have some blue, some red, but overall, I think the jet stream is moving something like that. But really, we see this just go full-on opposite by the time we're reaching literally the 1st through the 8th here. So our first little portion of February there, if you look right above that yellow line, clearly the jet stream is like this. Instantly, we flip. So trough here, ridge here. Ridge isn't huge. It's not taking up the entire eastern United States, but this is night and day compared to what we were taking a look at just a minute ago. So just very clear difference here that we're taking a look at. And still, by the time we're taking a look at the 8th through the 15th of February here, we can tell there's a big old trough right here and a bit of the ridge out west. It's kind of more neutral through here. We do have some warm here along the southeast, but a big trough centered over the west. Clearly, this is where the trough is centered in there. You can see the dark blues and those greens. That's indicating far below normal temperatures, so that is clearly where the trough is going to be centered by this point. Then let's take a look at the 15th through the 22nd. So this is like week 3 kind of. And it's the same thing. This is actually probably the warmest frame for the eastern United States. The ridge is pretty clearly in most of the eastern United States by this point. And it's important to note that by February, especially late February, we are going to be a little bit closer to springtime. Your average temperatures are starting to increase a little bit every single day. And above normal temperatures in late February is going to be a lot warmer than it would be in like the early portions of January. So it's worth noting that these temperatures might be pretty nice, I guess is what I would say, pretty temperate. There's a good chance that it could be, fairly good weather, I would say. And then our last little portion here is going to be the 22nd through the 1st of March, and we kind of revert back to kind of a pattern that's a little bit more flat, but the trough definitely is centered over the west. We have a little bit of some cold here in the eastern half of the country, but mostly neutral or warm temperatures here in the southeast. That's the trend as of right now. And when we take a look at our 30-day temperatures, is going to be January 30th through March 1st, so we get 2 days, 2 days in January, 1 day in March, and then all of February here. So it shouldn't look any different than how February is expected to look. And definitely, I would say, that might be a little different than how it looks. But something like this is definitely what this model's trending at. Cold up here, very cold here in the western United States, and then warmth overall for the southeast portion. So that is the trend right now. Here's the teleconnections. This is our P&A. This is the chart I was telling you guys about. This is the neutral line. I'm going to draw it on there. You can see we've been in the positive. We've actually been in the positive for a while, and if I was to take this back, it would be way up here because we've been in a very, very positive P&A. And this is going to quickly, this is by the time we're taking a look at the very end of January, beginning of February, or I'd say first week of February, down there at the bottom of your screen, we tank into a negative P&A. What this means is cold in the west. So imagine the left side of your screen is the west, the right side of your screen is the east, and then it's going to be warm in the east here. So just remember that. But if it's up here above this yellow line that I drew, the neutral line again, it would be warm in the west, cold in the east. So it's totally opposite. So kind of a ridge here, trough here. Here we have a trough here, ridge here. And again, this bottom one is the pattern we're expecting. It is the pattern we're expecting here in the month of February. So overall, we stay in a positive P&A up until about the 1st of February, and we tank negative, and the green line's the neutral line. we stay negative all the way through the first 2 weeks of March. So we're expected to stay into a negative P&A, I mean, all the way through February. I don't know if it'll 100% of the time stay negative, but the overall trend here is a vastly majority of the time we will be in a negative P&A, which encourages super cold air out west, super storminess out west, and fairly warm temperatures in the east is generally what you can expect for the month of February based on this. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, that's all I have to say about February. We are at a 4 out of 6, just like always. This is the highest I'll go for a monthly forecast, and actually this month seems fairly simple, so I feel quite confident. 4 out of 6 is the way I'm going to go. For today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, Patrick Strickland, Dave Scott, and Donna Carnes as well. I would also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catbite, Charles Tennant, Bill Dallas, Gary's, John Khaleesi, and I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.